The Ohio and Indiana Bar Associations require we give the addresses of the attorneys who are on the show. Today we have Peter Burrell with Strauss & Troy, 150 East 4th Street, 513-629-9422, StraussTroy.com. And of course, Don Moore, the Moore Law Firm, Nimitzview Drive, Cincinnati, 45230-232-2000, morelaw.com. Of course, you can get all this information at fox19.com. Just click on More Law. We wanted to welcome you back, Peter. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Don, you had a story that you wanted to share with the viewers.
Yeah, we had a case that has to do with employee rights, and there's actually an evolving area in the state of Ohio. It has to do with what we call employer intentional torts. And that's where employer does something that's so bad that the employee should get something over and above workers' compensation. And in this case, this woman came to us. She had lost a good portion of her hand as a result of a punch press coming down on it. And what the employer had done is they'd actually disabled double palm buttons. And a double palm button, as you can see, we have a picture here that I think they can show. The double palm button is, you have to have your hands on both buttons in order for the press to come down and stamp the metal. And the reason that is both hands are up here, they cannot be in the machine itself. Well, what the employer did was they disabled that safety device, wired around it, put a foot pedal in. And the employee had to put their hands under the press for every single part. And this woman did this, and it hit her hand, terrible injuries, permanent injury. Obviously, you lose part of your hand, you don't get it back. And we were able to get a recovery for her, but boy, it was difficult. The law is really stacked against the employees when it comes to getting above and beyond workers' comp. Now, in this case, there was an OSHA thing, an OSHA complaint and a citation. Right. And Peter, you've had experience representing people on both sides with respect to OSHA right. claims, haven't you?
I have, and that was what I was going to ask you is, was OSHA involved in this particular situation? What I think is important for the viewing audience to be aware of is that if this happens at your workplace, you have the ability to make a call to OSHA and say, there's something that is unsafe that's happening in my workplace. You are protected under all of the employee protection type statutes like OSHA for a retaliation claim, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, which is if you report that to OSHA and your employer takes action against you, you would be protected as an employee against retaliation for making that call. So just good for employees to know that, and also for employers to know that's why OSHA's there to protect employees, and that this kind of thing shouldn't happen, and if it does happen, that they have the ability to report it.
It's really sad when you have, and one of the things about her, when she lost this part of her hand, it was so traumatic when she reached her hand instinctively out to take change right. from a cashier, right. and the change just fell out of her hand onto the ground. And it was just, it's really traumatic. And right now, over and above workers' comp, right. the law is stacked against the employee. Absolutely. Pretty tough.
Well, and I'm sure some of these cases take a long time. How do lawyers in your part of the profession get paid?
Well, these lawsuits can take a long time, anywhere from a year to 2 years. I get paid, if I'm working generally with the employees, I get paid on a contingent fee basis, which is I don't get paid unless we recover. If I'm working for the employer side, I get paid an hourly rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So with respect to the contingency fee, typically for an employment lawyer, what are they on a third or a fourth or 40%?
Mostly
or what?
40%.
40%?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to the phones now. First, we have Paula in Cincinnati. Paula, the way I understand it, you were on medical leave and your employer placed an ad for your job. Is that right?
Yes.
And you're wondering if they're allowed to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of medical leave are you on?
For a mental breakdown.
Is it FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. The law is, I mean, they can put an ad. They can put an ad in the paper for your job because they may not have somebody to be able to cover it while you're on FMLA leave. They are supposed to keep the job open for you when you come back from FMLA leave.
Okay, well, good luck with that, Paula. Next, we want to go to Barry. Barry, you had a question about commission sales.
Yes. I've been getting the same commission for years and years with the company, and this year the company came in and to the meeting and told myself and all the other salespeople, we're going to take 2% of what you've been getting and put in a little pile. And if this number for your phone calls or this number for your sales is not where we think they should be, we're going to keep that 2%. Can they do that?
Can you change the rules like that?
Well, my guess is yes, because you are probably an at-will employee, and when they brought you in at the beginning of the year, the way the Ohio courts look at it is you are basically starting a new day of employment, and they can set the terms and conditions of your employment however they wish, which it sounds like they have done in this case. Now, if you're not an at-will employee, if you're in a union and you have a collective bargaining agreement, you want to look at that, and then you also want to look at your employment handbook.
Okay, great. We just have about a minute left. Peter, what would you suggest for people who are at work and they are just, you know, they know there's a problem, but they just don't know what to do about it? Is it immediately a call an attorney? Is it, you know, keep a diary of what you see happening every day? What do you think?
You know, I don't think it hurts to call an attorney even early on. I've helped a lot of people who have had basically just very difficult bosses, and there are some steps that you can take to protect yourself in those situations. So I always think it's a good idea to reach out early rather than late, and keeping a diary is something that I've often recommended to folks when they're in those kinds of situations where it hasn't risen to the level yet where they may have a claim, but it's good for them to reach out.
Okay, great.
So Peter, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Coming up next week, we'll be talking about careers in the law. We will see you next Monday morning at 9:30 here on More Law. Have a great week.